Welcome to the Straight from the Heart show. I'm Yutal Marmaraz. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Today, Straight from the Heart is going to go deep diving with Adam Roa. Adam Roa is a fantastic individual who I've been following for a short while. He's the spiritual ninja. And this is one of the main reasons, because this year for me has been the year of awakening for me. I've been finding myself through spirituality and getting to know my core self, who I'm supposed to be, my true potential. And I've been really, really looking forward to this interview. Adam is a filmmaker. He's a coach. He's traveled the world. He's an actor. And he was involved with Epic in Tanzania. Welcome, Adam Roa, to Straight from the Heart.
Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. In your own words, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your journey, please?
Yeah, man. I started off as the son of a man who came from the Philippines, third world country, and I had the American dream just like drilled into my head. And so materialism, career success, that was what I was striving for. And my own journey has taken me on a full kind of, I'll say 180, but at the same time, it definitely wasn't a smooth 180. It was like getting knocked around all over the place. And then, I was an actor, or I guess I am an actor. And I had moved out to LA to pursue that and realized that I was waiting until the outside world gave me permission, basically gave me a platform, said, oh, you're a star. Here's thousands or millions of people to listen to you. And I was waiting for that before I was going to start putting out the messages that I was most aligned with. And I finally, a few years ago, said, you know what, screw that. I want to put the messages out now because there's no time to waste. The world needs to hear it. And so I started doing that, and now here we are.
Wow. And funny said, I've been to the Philippines, actually. My first wife was half Filipina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went out there. I was out there for 4 weeks. I was in Manila.
How did you like it?
I loved the Philippines, man. I loved the hospitality of the people. I got involved in karaoke every other night. I stayed in Manila. I went up to Baguio, and the food, Jollibees and things like that, and just had a phenomenal time. And also it opened my eyes, Space Mountain and the poverty, and really opened up my eyes and really changed my world. And I suppose that's going to Tanzania. That's the same kind of thing. And watching what you were doing out there just got me drawn to what you were doing. And how did you find your awakening, as I will call it, your purpose?
Ooh, that's a good question. I've had two major events in my life that were radical turning points. And one of them was in high school. I won Homecoming King my senior year. I don't know if they have Homecoming King and Queen out where you are. Is that a thing?
Not when I was growing up, but now that they're catching up with the States, I think they have got it because they've got proms and stuff now. But we never had that, so maybe they are catching up. I'll find out soon through my daughter.
Stereotypical like American thing, like Homecoming King and Queen or Prom King and Queen, and it's essentially a popularity contest. And so being the kid that I was, and being tied to accomplishment and materialism and all of that, it was like the holy grail for me. I wanted it so badly. And when I won it, I woke up the next morning and nothing had changed, like internally. I was exactly the same. I had all the same fears and uncertainty. And so I started questioning, well, what if when I'm 40 years old, I've gotten the career and the house and the kids and the beautiful wife, and I have this feeling where I'm nothing's changed, and I thought it would. And so I started asking myself a lot of the questions about what is life about? What is happiness? And I started asking those questions. And then It came from a very logical place. I love logic and the mind and needing to understand. And then around 28 years old or so, I wound up in an ayahuasca circle. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that, ayahuasca is a plant medicine originating from South America. And I was in a circle with a shaman and a bunch of people, and I didn't know what I was in for. I didn't know much about it. I was just coming off of one of the worst years of my life where everything seemed to be going wrong. And I was so desperate that I was willing to try anything. And from one day to the next, I completely switched and flipped into a, I guess, spiritual person. I got to see behind the curtain. And it's one of those things where once you see behind the curtain, man, you can't unsee it. And so that gave me the message that you hear today. It put me on my path of purpose of saying, you know what? It's time to put these messages out and not leave behind the person that you were. But, I have a very, like I said, logical thinking mind, and I love breaking things down into and explaining them in ways that are really tangible to the average person. And I take that now into spirituality. And so a lot of the videos that I'll put out, like when I talk about the past and the present and the future, I don't like to just speak about it as a general concept. I like to talk about how it works in the brain,
Wow, that's really, really deep. And another thing that I really liked about you did a video about coaches, what coaches want to be coaches, coaching CEOs or people on that level, but yet they don't have the faith in themselves. They've got that limiting beliefs. And I think that was so powerful. And can you elaborate more on that? Because I was on that, when I first started out as coaching, I was the same. I didn't feel I was strong enough to coach these people. But now that I've actually found myself on the inside and I know what I'm worth, and this is what I found from Joel Brown, actually. He talked to me on that level, and that's what really changed everything for me. And he broke it down. He says most people are on a level 2 and you're functioning at a level 7. And what is that distance? What is that worth, the distance? You might even be on a level 9. But a lot of people want to be coaches, but yet they haven't even dealt with their own, well, I'm going to be rude. I'm going to be using the word shit here. They haven't dealt with that yet. I mean, I'm a coach and I haven't even I'm talking like that now, speaking to Javon, I've still had 2 things that I had to deal with. And it's things like that. So what would you advise these people that didn't watch the video?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. You watched one of my that was a Facebook Live, and I think it was like 20 something minutes long. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you watched it, I'm touched. I know you're busy, so 20 minutes is precious. Yeah, you know what it is coaching right now. It's not like becoming a doctor where you go to medical school, you get the certificate, and now you can practice medicine. Anyone can become a coach, and you can just become a coach by saying you're a coach and telling someone, and they can pay you. And as soon as you're getting paid for coaching, you're officially a professional coach, And for me, I've heard like there's price ranges that vary from like people will charge, $20 an hour for coaching all the way up to, I know people who charge $1 million for a year of coaching. And in between that range is everyone else. And it doesn't actually matter. It's not some certification. It's not some outside source saying, hey, you can now charge $50,000 a year or $100,000 a year. What it is it's all the space that you can hold, right? And so if you're someone who's interested in coaching, your price is just determined on the space that you yourself can hold and the value that you feel you can give. And so for me personally, what that's looked like on my journey is basically every time I've gotten a client, okay, every time a new client signs up, I say, all right, that says that's an external sign from the universe that my value is being recognized, right? And then I think about, okay, in between this client just signing up and the previous one, what have I done to expand myself? Have I taken a bunch of workshops? Have I spent, how much money have I spent expanding myself? Because that's all added value that I can now bring to this new client. And so once that client will sign up, a lot of times I'll raise my price up for the next one because I'm constantly in the student's chair. When I recorded that Facebook Live that you're talking about, that was during a lunch break at a 4-day workshop. And so I'm just constantly adding value. And as long as I feel like I'm adding more and more value, then I feel like I'm capable of charging certain amounts. For any coaches who are like, yeah, maybe my prices are too high. Well, that just means that you don't feel like you're providing that level of value yet. You know, other people recognizing your level of value is a direct reflection of the value you have of yourself.
And I feel this is what I feel is so wrong with the industry at the moment, because there's so many courses that you can just go and do for 2 months or even in 2 weeks to become a qualified coach. But in my own personal opinion, I didn't become a coach. I didn't become a speaker by choosing to be a speaker or a coach. I was called. It took me 7 years. It took me from my marriage breaking, losing my house, losing my child, losing my job, becoming homeless, sleeping on the street for 5 days, to actually figure that out, to become, didn't figure it out. I wanted to become a coach. I wanted to improve myself. And when I did that, I found the calling to be doing. Before I used to focus on the money, on the car, on the houses. Nowadays, it's not about that. It's about the serving. It's about what you can do. But in turn, you'll only get what you're giving anyway. So I think it's so important you've done that video, and thank you so much for that, Adam. And
you're welcome.
I want to dive deep now into spirituality. So you being the spiritual ninja, me doing this. I've always been spiritual. I was born a Hindu, so I've always been spiritual, but I've moved away from Hinduism because I was so judgmental when I was a Hindu and so on. So now it's just about me functioning from a place of love. It's all love. My household is love. It's gratitude. This is what I teach my children, to be loving, to people, humanity and spirituality first. So in your journey to spirituality, what kind of things do you do on a daily basis?
Meditation. I mean, meditation is the single most important part of my spirituality, simply because I believe that any kind of spiritual connection that you feel is a connection to what's in you, right? Like, we are all manifestations of creation. We are all, whether the word that you want to use is God or source or energy or creator or Allah, like, it doesn't matter to me. We're talking about a energy force that created everything. And we are all created by whatever source that is. Whatever God you believe in, we come from the same one. That's a Macklemore line from a song which I love. And so meditation, what that does is that calms down the part of ourselves, the ego, that allows us to navigate this world by creating a feeling of separation, right? The sense of self that allows me to go, oh, I'm eating this right now, as opposed to living my consciousness in India through someone who's eating right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is my container. And so meditation allows me to quiet that part of myself in order to feel that connected energy that connects all of us, the God that's in you right now, and that our higher selves are speaking to each other, not just our ego minds. And meditation is a game changer. Every single one of my clients, on the first session, that becomes homework, like, start with 5 minutes. And I think that people have an idea of what meditation is based on what they've heard. And so they think that they can do it wrong. And unless you're trying to do a specific style of meditation, TM or Vipassana or whatever, you can't meditate wrong.
Mhm.
There's no screwing up meditation. And as long as you have the intention of meditating and doing it for the intention of just being present, I think that you will see benefits in your life from having done that. So that's the big thing for me, man, is meditation. In addition to that, connecting to my body through exercise and also reading. I'm a big reader and I listen to a lot of podcasts. It's why I started my own podcast. You keep saying the deep dive, which I love because that's the name of my podcast. And yeah, all of that stuff. I'm addicted to learning, dude. Addicted to it.
I love it. I love it. That's why we've got the connection. I'm a true believer that you attract everybody that you come across with in life. And just looking at you, it's like it's a mirror of myself. You have to feed the mind. You have to feed the soul. You have to feed the body, and you have to feed your spirit. And that's everything that you've said in what you've just said there. And meditation, you can have all kind of meditations. I've tried everything. But now what I do, it's just the stillness. Being in that stillness, it separates the ego, as you say. It separates all materialistic things. And it just makes your life so wonderful. And that's when you're on the right path to happiness, in my opinion, because when you do that, that's when you start finding your heart. That's when you start finding the universe within your heart, which people don't realize. So people want to manifest things. They're sending out the thoughts, but the heart's not thinking the same thing. So that's why it's not working. And what you're doing, the results that you're getting traveling the world, everything that you're doing is, people should be watching what you're doing. You should be an example. And that's why I brought you on this show. Can you talk a bit about your experience in Africa and how it changed your perspective on life? I know it has.
Yeah. I went to Tanzania with the nonprofit EPIC, which is Everyday People Initiating Change. And that group has been operating for a decade now, building clean water wells in villages in Tanzania. And so every year there's trips that go out there and they build a new well in a new village and also check in on the wells that have been built previously to make sure they're still operating and there's no issues. And what's amazing, I want to preface this because I went to Tanzania coming off of 3 weeks of volunteering in a refugee camp in Athens right beforehand. And the juxtaposition of those two experiences was so profound for me, because I learned a couple different things and I had to kind of wrap my head around all of them. And the first one was, while I was in the refugee camp, I realized that the worst thing that you can do to a human being, in my opinion, is take away their hope. Like if you have no hope, you're already dead. And so the hope that you can create a certain life, the hope that things will get better, the hope that your family is going to be okay, like just hope. And in the refugee camp, there's this like, wake up, do nothing, literally do nothing. You're not allowed to do anything all day long. You can't get a job. There's no school for you. You don't really speak the language. So many people just wake up and do nothing until they go to sleep. And that leads to this hopelessness. There's a feeling of hopelessness, like I have no power at all. And you see it in some of their eyes. You see it like they've already given up. And so that was so powerful coming into Tanzania, because, going into these villages where I'm like, wow, I'm going to walk into a village where they don't have clean water. They have to walk 20 minutes with like buckets on their head to get dirty water that is an animal watering hole that has animal dung all in it and everything. And then that's the same water they use to cook, clean, drink, bathe in. I thought, well, they're going to have even less hope. You know what I mean? This is going to be even harder. But these villages, I don't know if I've ever met communities that are so joyous. They're so joyous. And anyone who finds me on Facebook can find a lot of the videos. that I posted of like the singing and the celebration. And, they don't know what they don't have. Right. So we are projecting onto them, oh, they don't have the internet or iPhones or good clothes or whatever. So they must be more unhappy than I am. And the truth is they don't know what they don't have. And so they're just living in joy. They're so joyous. And coming out of the refugee experience to the villages and not having either one go the way I had previously thought it would was so powerful for me, man. And travel is so important. I recommend to everyone to leave your bubble and actually go places that make you a little uncomfortable. Not just like the resort in Cancun, but go experience India, go experience Bali, go experience the Philippines, like different cultures that may feel a little out of place, because it will expand what you think is possible.
Wow. And this is what I'm going to be doing with my children now. So this is the plan. My daughter's going to be 4 next year, and that's going to be her life education. She will get her basic education, but this is what she's going to learn. My son is six months now, so that's going to be the education. I learned that from Jarek Robbins. I had the privilege of interviewing him, and it will change the perspective of happiness altogether. Like you said, in Philippines, they don't have the basic sanitary, but when you meet somebody, that smile says it all. That genuine smile, that warmth. Over here in Europe, in the States, where we're so developed, so-called developed, people give you the fake smile, give you the bitterness, the toxicity that comes with it. But these people are just warm, genuinely loving, and they haven't been polluted. That's the way I see it. And we're going to be running short of time soon. How do people get hold of you? How do they follow you? I want people to be following you, because you're a world changer.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, people can find me Facebook and Instagram. On Instagram, it's adam.roa, R-O-A. On Facebook, it's just Adam Roa. I have a public page, and you can friend request me. I think I got a few hundred spots left. And my website, adamroa.com. theslinkyeffect.com is the coaching practice that I have with both myself and the love of my life, Miss Melinda Cohen, who's a game changer in herself. And then lastly, I have a podcast, The Deep Dive with Adam Roa. So all of those, I just put out free stuff, right? Like if people want to work with me one-on-one or in a small group, then there's a cost. But everything I'm learning and what I'm going through, I want to share, because I think that the world is craving people to wake up to a new way of living, and wake up into the realization that we're all connected, and we are just like craving love, man. And so whatever I can do to help spread that message is my life's purpose.
You're so genuine, and you're straight from the heart too, because when I do my live videos, people have told me, oh, you need to tone down a little bit. You're giving too much. You're giving your content. But I said, no, this is me. This is what I'm doing. It's not about giving you content. There's people that needs the coaching, that needs the help. Like I said, we all have to live. And the more you give, the more will come back to you. It's not about expecting. It's about giving. It's the law of giving and receiving. It's the second law of spiritual success, guys. And Adam has just touched that. And if you want to find out more about Adam, go check out the Dive Deep. Check out his videos. Check out everything that he's doing. And thank you for being an awesome guest. Thank you for being a gentleman of love. And thank you for spreading the love.
Thank you for having me on, man. And thank you for doing your own work in the world, right? Like it's a team effort. I think we're moving away from this idea that, I don't want to be the Michael Jordan, or I don't need any of that. I want to be a part of a team with people like yourself who are just dedicated to changing the world. So thank you.
There's abundance everywhere. That's what people misunderstand. It's abundance.
There's enough. There's enough for everybody, man. There's enough for everybody.
There's more than enough to go twice around. So thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in from Straight from the Heart. I'm Yutamar Miraz, and as always, live well with one another, because if we don't, what's the point? I love you all.